Good to go.
Did you ever hear that story?
Yep.
Was it a vehicle?
Motorcycle.
In order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Verification of compliance with meeting law.
Yeah, you maybe noticed that I actually posted it twice. I made a mistake and omitted a few things. I reposted it again yesterday, at the door and on our website.
Okay. Roll call.
Rocky. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Bose.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Here.
Kraus.
Yes.
White. Kotar.
Here. Okay, agenda order changes or corrections.
Just the additions that are in.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you. And approval of minutes. Actually, page 4 in your Chromebook.
Second.
Move second to approve the special board of trustees minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment. A couple people are on the agenda, so we'll wait till we get to that spot for the agenda items. And Stephanie, welcome. Is there a clerk from Stratford?
Yes, yep, I'm the treasurer.
Wonderful, our system works. Wonderful, welcome. We got grant for the TRG, thank you. Announcement.
Just so we'll have our budget hearing where we'll approve the budget officially on December 2nd.
Okay. Public Works?
Yep, we're got everything pretty much ready for snow season. You guys will be making a decision on that truck. We replaced our big plow truck this year. Other than that, as far as the streets department, everything's pretty much ready for their water. We've been working a lot with getting everything ready for the plant out here, getting everything up to speed for that. Pat has passed his one of his water exams, so that was good. He took that over in Green Bay, so that's good. And then wastewater, just finding everything's been going pretty smooth there, keeping up to speed with Ethan being off. So everything's looking good over there too.
Good. Any questions for John? Thank you. Police chief report.
Right, in the month of October, I attended the Village Board of Trustees meeting and various police commission meetings. In October, officers handled 196 calls for service, issued 15 citations and 5 written warnings. And again, as a reminder, we have started enforcing the winter parking ordinances. And from November 1st to April 1st, parking is not allowed on the village streets from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This is to ensure the safe and efficient removal of snow during the winter season. Violators may be cited per village ordinance 451-23. And we just started out, we probably issued 50 warnings over the last week. We'll now be changing and writing a citation. Then I'd like to report the since we did the lane marking changes up on Highway 13 and Clark Street, we had our first accident up there. This accident was caused by a driver of a vehicle attempting to correct lanes just prior to entering the intersection. The driver was in the right turn lane and attempted to merge into the proper lane of traffic. The driver of the striking vehicle crashed into a vehicle that was in the proper lane of traffic. That driver happened to receive a citation for operating while suspended, no car insurance, and the other one was unsafe information. And the last thing I want to report is one of our squad radios and our squad cars failed. I had Northway Communications look at it, and the radio was found to be not repairable. I did purchase a used radio to replace it.
So the traffic accident.
Okay.
Could you tell me where just the community that they didn't know about this? Was this somebody out of the area or
Yeah, the driver was from Rib Lake.
from River Lake?
Yeah.
Was that the guy with the hat?
He had a hat on.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is that-
Younger guy.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Two guys with hats on.
Let's move on. Any other questions for Sean? Thank you. Okay, we have president's comments. I have nothing at this time. That brings us to new business. Item A, this is a presentation by Ingy Furman Hawk on the need for transient / low income housing in the village. Ingy, you are on.
Thank you, everybody, for being on the board. And I asked Harry Topher when I heard him participate in the Graupner groundbreaking. Gertrude and Carl Graupner were family and friends of ours because of our connection to Germany. And I talked to Zaworski that day and thanked them for doing all the apartments. Got Charles, and yes, what I said, my concern is that there are people in this community and many surrounding communities. And I'm not here only for just that, but on September 24th, I was at Audrey Weber and Whitey's home, and Charlene Miller told me that the parsonage was going up for sale. So I went to church that Sunday and toured it, and my heart, I've been struggling for 10 years not to turn the family barn and my warm bedroom to help people that need help of such nature, housing and a place to live. But since I brought this up to Chris, he gave me the information about that subject, and I thanked him for that. And then Gross Motors is across the street. And this goes back to 1963 when Willie Wildenberg and a bunch of us were walking from the high school to the donuts. And that year he said, Ingy, I won't be seeing you next year. And I said, why not? He said, I'm quitting school. You're quitting school, and I'm a sort of naive, innocent immigrant still adjusting to life in America and school. And I was accommodated at my way, I learned, but I didn't even know you were allowed to quit. And because he said if it wasn't for shop class and walking to the donut shop, he would go crazy in school. So my interest is in Gross Motors across the street. I didn't mention this to anybody because it's for sale. And my idea is to present a challenge to the board and Wayne Gross to turn that into a learning facility for trade learning. And see, Harry, could you please hold that thing up that I brought? I want to ask, what do you see there? It's not the object. I used to be a teacher at Owen Withy, and my visuals help people. And I'd like to ask you people here, because Harry had said you needed space for parking. But what do you see happening at Gross Motors? I see, like in Europe where my family is from and people, they learn trades. The doors are there, the mechanic shops or whatever. And that's just, I'm the spark. You guys can kick the football. Harry, I said, how did you learn all that stuff? What are you doing? And he said, he has a good board. And you all know what you're doing here with industry and the beautiful band shelter and all the things that are wonderful that I love, the TAC and everything in town. But if I see another homeless person sleeping behind a dumpster in Marshfield, I worked with the homeless in Florida for 10 years. And not just that, but to recover a life other than having to quit school. And I've only got 5 minutes, but I brought that. The apples I brought for each of you are from an apple core that my father, Bruno Furman, threw in the field along the road in the ditch, and it's been producing these wonderful apples. We never know what our outcome is going to be of something. And then if you do not know the story of Mr. Hershey, the Hershey, Pennsylvania, read what Mr. Hershey did. So I brought you each a Hershey candy bar. Because if Mr. Hershey could do what he did for the community, and I would like permission to go talk to Wayne Gross or whoever makes it an option to turn that into something that benefits this town. However you're going to make it happen. I see a trade school there. You know what I'm saying? And that's housing for that place or whatever. I don't know what's allowable. Like Chris explained to me, regulations and grants and all these things, but there is no low income housing for people to afford or whatever. So I think my time's up. And you each get an apple from the manure spreader apple tree. That's what we called it, 'cause my father would sing hallelujah and throw the core. And Charlene Miller Galikowski's sons and 2 workers are coming to take grafts off that tree to plant it down by their farm so it can continue, because it doesn't look like it should be bearing, but it's just amazing. And people ask me what kind of apple is it? I say it's red. Because it was a seedling, but they'll have grafts. And the other apples at the farm are, and I'm the last one alive at the Furman farm, and I'm back. It was this tall when I got there growing up, and guess what I'm doing now there? I'm this tall. Anybody want to guess? I'm growing up some more. So read the story of Mr. Hershey. Do you know what he did with his money and his life in the school? Okay, and so that's your incentive. And my students at Owen Whitney, I was a teacher, graduated from UW Stevens Point. And they always wanted to work for a star, get the star on their paper, and I'd ask them, well, tell me what you learned today.
Thank you.
Who else wants a Hershey bar?
Gone.
I need a-
Even though.
You don't need an incentive? How about you? You need an incentive? My father used to come home from Butch's grocery store, later Titus bought it, and he would always bring home a dark chocolate Hershey bar. He said, Ingy, someday these Hershey bars are gonna benefit you. And I didn't realize I'd ever use them for a bride at a board meeting. So do I have your permission to talk to Wayne Gross?
If you want to.
Well, I'm going to.
You don't need our permission for it.
Well, I don't know, because you're in charge of Spencer's activities, right?
Yeah.
It gets voted and done here.
What would you like to see it happen with as far as,
Parsonage,
yeah,
I would love it to be purchased by somebody to turn into a homeless facility to help people be there, learn, train, sort of like Shirley's House of Hope, which I've been involved in Marshfield. The domestic violence renew build center, but for people that need a place to stay and learn and sleep and not freeze in 30 below. And somebody knows how to do all that. I would be 30 years younger, I would be there. I will be volunteering and offering my assistance. I still cooperate with Shirley Salts of Hope, but I'm gonna be 80 in 11 months, and I'm not turning the barn or my house, because I've been fighting for 10 years to do that, because it's a need in this area. Oh, one last thing, and then I'm done, because my parents hired Otto. Everybody knows Otto in Spencer, right?
Yeah.
He could only sign his name with an X. He lived up the road from us, but he could, side rake, take out manure. We helped him out. Wayne and Jeff Jeanette weren't very smart. I don't mean to be offensive in school, but they had jobs at the farm. And Denise Rucker milked our cattle and worked her little challenge life for our farm for 19 years. And that's the kind of people that need help in these situations, like a mechanics and whatever. That place over there can be a school or a training or whatever you want to call it. And I'm hoping somebody takes this over and does this thing here.
what we can do as a board as far as what we are able to, do, we will look at. Possibly given the transient situation to the committee, what our ordinances are, things like that, so we can start working on that, and we'll keep you informed of anything that may come about. So how's that sound?
Well, wonderful. And then also for that place over there, it's sitting there empty with a big parking lot. And
You certainly have, you don't need our information, but go ahead and you can get done.
I've been told I can sell Eskimos refrigerators, and there aren't Eskimos here, so I'm sorry. And this is my folder I got from Spencer High School. Miss Smith provided me a way to learn, because I had all my credits at my junior year and I couldn't leave, and I couldn't take FFA because I was a girl. So she got a correspondence course going, and then on and I went. So I was accommodated for at that school for the kind of learning needed, because I had all my credits and I couldn't leave to go home to the farm, because I read every book in the library, and nowadays you can go home and you can start college in high school.
Okay,
So
thank you for coming, thank you for sharing what your
thank you.
goal is and your passion. Cool, thank you. Item D, discussion possible action on a new 5-year garbage and recycling contract.
We went out and got bids for garbage and recycling in the 5-year contract starting January 1st. We got proposals from EFL, Arters, and Waste Management. Of the three, Waste Management was the cheapest. Garbage was 10.20 cart per week or per month, and recyclables was 6.10 per cart per month. That was with weekly recyclable collection still. For a total of 16.30. The biggest change will be no more bulk item collection. I should say no more bulk item collection included at no extra charge in our contract. That will be something that will now be charged to the homeowner if they call in on bulk item collection. They'll be charged by Waste Management, or they would be charged by Waste Management directly at the time that they made that schedule.
So how are we going to do the house count?
We've already done a pretty extensive house count based on the water and sewer billing that we have. So,
Based on that,
yep, so we're very confident that the numbers we provided with the bid package are as accurate as we have. And Chad and his staff, or anyone would verify that number for the first time before we rebuild it.
So what's that count?
About 860.
860?
That was full set part of freight for us.
Yeah, not a house card, but because some people do have multiple cards. Of address depending on the situation.
Yeah, we kind of collaborated where we could put out a program that actually generates a picture every time the truck activates the arm. The trouble with the program, it's not 100% because if it's off a little bit, it runs off the GIS, so it geolocates closest parcel and so on and so forth. So we started with that. We're going through and manually checking some addresses. And then Chris provided a list, we cross-referenced it, and we're pretty darn close.
Yeah.
That final
so what
count.
do we do with the housing development going up now? Is that by unit or
They'll have their own garbage recycling.
they'll have their own?
Yeah, as a commercial multifamily facility of that size, they'll provide their own garbage recycling.
Okay. And we don't have any other housing.
That will actually be a change with this new contract. We do still have a number of commercial counts on our contract with dumpster service. Ponderosa would be a good example of a housing complex with more than 3 or 5 units that was on our contract. And I talked to Ponderosa, and they're happy to be billed directly by the contractor of their choice rather than be on ours.
So there's keys of their own.
So Durski's will be their own. There's a strange line. Normally multifamily by the state, at least on the building code side, is 3 or more units in a property. But on the DNR's recycling program, it's actually 5 or more, or more than 5, I should say, 6 or more. So we have to provide recycling services to housing units of up to 5 residential units. They have to be included in our program by the terms of the grant that we get. That's written into the state code.
We get a grant from the DNR.
Yep, we get a recycling grant every year from the DNR. There's a big pot of money that gets allocated every year, and then it gets divided up by population. So every community that applies for the grant gets a check based on the population that they serve.
But that is just taken off the top, the grant, whatever it is.
The grant is used to fund the entirety of our garbage and recycling program. So it's another source of income for that program.
But that's not part of this bid.
Correct. Yep.
That's, so we got an expense and then we got an income.
Right.
Anything else that contributes to the recycle or the waste, the garbage pickup?
Just the only other cost will be with the big dumpster at Public Works. So,
And we haven't decided what we're gonna do with that problem.
well, in previous contracts, Waste Management, Advanced Disposal before them, they included that dumpster in our contract to be picked up at no extra cost.
But now we'll be charged for
But now we'll be charged for it. Their charge is $275 per pickup. And then also $70 per ton tipping fee.
So I was looking on the waste management will pick up refrigerators and all that other stuff.
For 2 years.
Huh? 2 more
2
years?
years, right?
2 years.
And then what happens after that?
So after that, because of the change in collection from manual collection, to even 3-4 years ago to the automated side load trucks, those rear load trucks that we've been collecting bulk items with are being aged out of the fleets, not being replaced. So we do have some of those trucks still available at the Marshfield hauling site. We don't know that they're going to be around after that 2-year mark. So we can offer that subscription for the 2-year mark. After that, we're looking at doing roll-off containers.
Well, that's the issue. We have mattresses and furniture seems to be the thing that sits on the curbs all the time. And I'm just asking, how do we deal with that issue? I mean, you'll see a mattress lay on the curb for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And they say, then it gets wet and then it's.
So going on with the furniture, that's a huge concern. Would it cost any more to have 2 dumpsters and have one dedicated for furniture and do like a service fee charge for that separate furniture dumpster?
Yeah,
Is that an idea?
We have a lot of communities that do that.
Yeah, that'll have to be something that we look at. In next year's budget, we have a small amount of money attributed towards the cost of that dumpster down at the public works shop. So that we can kind of get a feel for, how much it's going to be used and how much our residents need to use it.
On average,
Yeah.
how often does it get picked up?
The one that's there currently,
Yeah,
on average, once a month.
so Google tells me that 20-yard dumpster will hold about 3 tons of material. So that'd be about $500 per month for that dumpster.
So then, no matter what we do. And I'm just thinking about this, we don't have a secure site for that stuff.
No.
So we,
Secure in what way?
well, right now, when the gates are open, anybody can go in.
Right, yeah,
So we're gonna have to look at securing some type of, whether it's in a fencing or.
Yeah.
Whatever.
yeah, we can either choose to leave the main gates closed, we could add fencing around the dumpster, and just secure the dumpster site, although more than likely they'll end up with piles of garbage on the outside of the fence then. But we do have a camera system down at the wastewater plant. We could add an additional camera to the yard for relatively inexpensive,
Yeah, are we gonna see more stuff down at the compost pile then?
potentially.
Well, we could drop times, but that's probably a discussion for another time on when we want to
Right.
deal with all that stuff.
But it's something.
Oh, yeah, no, we gotta deal with it.
I mean, yeah, we can improve this, but.
Yeah.
That's in we're talking about budget for next year. We should be talking about that.
Oh, I know, that plan,
And Waste Management is not alone. All of the contractors were in similar situation, with the exception of GFL, but then their price was pretty significant, so.
we can see what other communities do too. I mean, what do other communities do for that kind of stuff?
A lot of them are transitioning away from the curbside bulk collection.
No, I know, but okay,
So they're-
residents are gonna have stuff. Are they making something available at certain times?
Yep, so more rural communities, a couple times a year, they'll do the roll-off containers for the weekend where we'll drop them on a Friday. Residents can bring stuff in, we'll pull the containers on a Monday, one in spring, one in fall. Other ones will do it monthly, have a container on site, charge a small fee for residents to drop off a chair, a couch, mattress, so on and so forth. That way it's helping to offset the fee to pull it and the tonnage.
Now, if somebody wanted to get rid of a couch or a mattress in between those times of season, can they bring them to your facility in Marshfield?
As of right now, the Marshfield transfer is open to the public. So yes, residents could come over there and drop stuff off.
I mean, I'm just thinking if somebody's got something, it's like, we gotta get rid of this, where we're gonna go with it, Gotta have someplace to go with it.
Oh, no, you go down my road and dump it in the ditch.
Oh, problem solved.
Where do you live?
That's
More than once I picked stuff out of my ditch.
But yes, we do have options for residents to stop by at the Marshfield transfer, and it is open to the public.
For that, oh, it's going to stay though, Or you said for now?
For now. I,
So what's
I
that
don't,
mean?
I don't ultimately make those decisions. We've had other sites only go to contractors because of the automated scales. But Marshfield isn't set to automate anything in the next 3 years would be my guess. So I mean, for quite some time, it's going to be available to the public. The city of Marshfield has the same thing with their contract. Residents are able to bring stuff over there and drop it off. So as long as that's rolling, it's going to have to remain open to the public.
Okay. Move to accept the recycling with waste management.
Second. And moved by Al, second by Bill to approve the 5-year contract with wastewater management. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Chris, closing note, I will draft the contract for you to go through
Sure.
for approval. And then if there's any discrepancies, we'll go back and forth and get some. So.
Yep, no, sounds great.
Let's take it out. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, item C. Discussion possible action on the purchase of the accounts receivable module for the workforce accounting software program at the initial cost of $3,300.
So we do accounts receivable when we send bills to customers that are not water bills. Water. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
You put a pin in there?
Thank you.
Come on now. These are 60-year-old apples.
You know, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
These are
the newer apple.
You can eat your apple pie.
Thank you for what you're gonna do for the whole.
Thank you. Thank you. Scare your hunger pains.
Okay, thank you.
Back to Chris.
Yeah, currently the way we do accounts receivable is a little old school. We create our invoices using Excel and track them using Excel and then bring them into our accounting software, in a big batch every month. And it's not the best way to do it. It's a lot of extra steps. Workhorse, the company that provides our accounting software, has a accounts receivable module that we can use. And what we'd like to do is update to that program so that it's ready to go in January.
How many modules do we have for workforce?
This will make 6 or 7. We have accounting, utility billing, utility inventory, payroll. That's it.
So then each year we pay a renewal fee?
Yeah, for workhorse, it's another $300 for or for $800, I'm sorry, for the annual support.
For all of them or just this one?
No, just for this module. So each module has an annual support associated with it. We do typically divide up those support costs between water, wastewater, and the general fund. Accounts receivable would be no different. We bill about $1 million worth of invoices out right now using Excel. It's only about 200 invoices per year, but wastewater does account for a pretty significant amount of those because of the haulers. So sharing that cost out with them is easy. And if we had an opportunity to get this going so that it was starting January 1, we wouldn't have a rough transition between switching from Excel to Workforce making. And the accountants would appreciate us. So we talked with the accountants earlier in the year about making this switch. And they, of course, recommended doing it on January 1. So it's an easier transition. Workforce has agreed to provide us with the software in December and train us in December and then bill us as of January 1 of next year. So it can be next year's budget.
So what's left? What modules don't we have?
I think there's a cemetery module that we could have. There's an accounts payable module as well, but we don't need that. There's a lighter version of payroll, I believe, and we have. That's about it.
All right, I get it. I'll make a motion to approve. Accounts payable module for workforce council. Which will cost $3,300.
Second.
Moved by Tom, second by Pat. To approve the purchase of the accounts receivable module. For $3,300. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item D, discussion possible action on ordinance 25 an ordinance to update village dispenser ordinance chapter 27, joint municipal court to match the city of Marshfield changes.
So, I got a call from them, the clerk over in Marshfield. They noticed during a review of their code that, they did not specify that in their ordinance that the judge at the municipal court had to be a licensed, attorney in the state of Wisconsin. That was in their code previously to the creation of the joint, courts with Stratford and Spencer. But when the joint court was created, they created a new ordinance to deal with the joint court. And then that line was missing from the ordinance. It was not an intentional thing. And they would like us to change our ordinance to include that requirement. Their current judge is likely to be retiring soon. And so they felt this would be a good opportunity to get that ordinance up to date. So that when they hire a new judge, there's no question about whether or not that person wants to be. Well, you have maybe some time to get your license and get the bar passed if that's what you want to do. The big thing is that all three entities in the municipal court have to have matching ordinances. That's a requirement. of the
That
agreement.
makes sense.
So we don't really have a choice.
No.
But it's not a bad idea. It's not a requirement. Obviously, the state doesn't make your judges be attorneys, but it's not a bad thing. Then there's also a couple other typos and corrections. Yeah, but yeah, just very minor changes. So this would actually be ordinance number 25-2 to modify the existing ordinance. Section 27 for those changes.
Motion by Bill. I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item E, discussion possible action on resolution 2025.
7, I accidentally wrote 8
Okay.
originally.
A resolution adopting the Village of Spencer Outdoor Recreation Plan. For period 2026 through 2030.
Yeah, Fred sent back his completed draft of the plan with the change that we talked about at the 2 committee meetings that we had to discuss the plan. And so this is the accompanying resolution that's required by the plan to be adopted by the village officially. We've done this once before with the previous outdoor recreation plan. If we do need to change the plan because something changes within the next 5 years, we can update the plan with a simple resolution. So it's not like we're stuck with this plan just because it gets approved tonight, but it is a requirement of the plan. More importantly, it's a requirement of the grants that we'll be applying for that the board has approved the ordinance or has approved the plan by resolution.
I have no questions because we went through this a number of times already.
Yeah, the body of the draft is in the packet, so you can go through it if you like to. I'll probably include a link to this on the website as well, so if any residents want to take a look at the plan, it'll be out there for them to look at too.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Al,
Second.
second by Pat to approve the village ordinance. Oh, I'm sorry. Adopting the Village of Spencer Outdoor Recreation Plan for 2026 to 2030. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item H, sorry, discussion possible action on ordinance 25-3, an ordinance creating village dispenser ordinance chapter 353-6, shooting range regulations.
So we talked about this ordinance last month. Or maybe it was last week. Yeah, last week.
Last week.
The shooting range was opened up this week and we did put the signage out there covering the rules that we talked about. This ordinance is important so that Sean has a tool that he can use to enforce specific shooting range rules by code so that there's no question that they are enforceable. The two big ones are just the shooting hours, 8 AM to dusk, 7 days per week. And then a paragraph highlighting the range rules that are on the sign that's posted out there.
Yeah, I see quite a few people out there already.
There has been a lot of that. Yep.
Motion.
Motion by Bill,
Second.
okay, Tom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item G. Discussion possible action on the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company proposal for 2026.
We got our proposal back from the league insurance. The league provides our liability insurance, our auto insurance. They broker our property insurance through MPIC, and then they broker our workers' comp insurance through Heartland. There was a significant increase this year, primarily due to two factors. The first is the increase in property value associated with the water plant. That's a $6 million improvement. So obviously that caused the property insurance to go up quite a bit. The premium for that went from $21,500 to $29,000, an increase of $7,400. And then the second major increase was in our workers' compensation. That was primarily driven by the fact that we've had 3 workers' comp claims in the last 2 years. And so that's where that increase comes from. The league does provide us with a number of benefits outside of the insurance, which includes a number of grants that we get back, mostly for the police department, a total of $6,300 we get back. We will get back next year, including the dividend, I guess, assuming a $1,400 dividend is what we got last year. So that does offset the cost of the premiums a bit. We do use that money for other things, but it is a significant increase. So I've been pretty happy with the league's insurance. We switched to the league about 10 years ago after we jumped around for a little bit to try to find good insurance. But I am prepared to go out and solicit other bids too. This is a pretty high increase, and I don't expect you guys to like it. I don't know that we're going to get anything better, but we can certainly look.
We had good success with the municipal.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm not expecting you guys to approve this unless you really want to. I've got some calls out to other companies. I haven't gotten any calls back yet, but I'll follow up with them, and if we can get something to present to you at the next board meeting.
Yeah, see if I hear anything.
No rush on this.
No,
the only rush is setting the amounts for the budget, so that we know where all the
Well, doesn't the league, how many cities does the league cover?
hundreds. Yeah, they're one of the biggest insurance providers in the state.
I mean, I think that's why it went.
Yeah, one of the reasons they're geared towards municipalities. I mean, that's
I don't see,
what they do.
I don't know.
don't think it hurts to check.
No,
You're right.
Check on my owner.
I do too.
yeah, you got some calls out there. If nothing really comes back, we can.
Yeah. but we can talk about it again next week.
Table this one.
Yeah. I hope that maybe I got a few calls back last week, but I haven't.
Item H, discussion possible action on the West Cemetery Association. Request for a donation of $500 in 2026 to be used for driveway improvement.
I got a call from, I don't remember. Who I got a call from.
These improvements that
Actually,
we can't help with.
I think they just dropped this off. They dropped it off, for Deb, so I don't know what was it actually dropped. But, yeah, it wasn't Denny, but it might have been their new sexton, which I can't remember.
Jeff Whitehall.
Jeff, yes, yep. It was probably Jeff. So they've actually come to the towns of Spencer, Sherman, and the village of Spencer a couple of times in the last 10 years to ask for some help with gravel specifically. So twice in the past 10 years, I believe the village and the townships were asked to help contribute towards that cost. The biggest thing about that cemetery is that it's not associated with the church. So there aren't a lot of, and it's not operated by the town either. So the only way that they get money is by the sale of their plots and whatever maintenance
And perpetual care.
and whatever maintenance of perpetual care that they have for those. So they are not terribly resource rich, and they were asking for either a couple loads of gravel or $500 to cover the cost of the gravel. So I said that I'd be happy to present it to you guys for your consideration.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Tom, second by Pat. To approve a $500 donation to the West Cemetery Association. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That $500 barely covered.
Yeah, I saw that
That's
too.
if, that's $1,500. Whatever they'll need to.
Yeah.
As long as it's equal, that's the big part.
Yeah, I'm good. It's
Yeah,
about that.
Item I. Discussion possible action on the selection of a permanent catwalk or portable man lift for use in the new well number 7 water treatment plant number 2 building.
yeah, I was gonna leave this one for Greg, I guess.
All right, so I understand Max talked to you all last month about the possibility of putting in a catwalk there versus getting a lift. He'd asked me an approximate cost for that manway, for the catwalk, I should say. I said probably in the $60,000 range. Turns out 60,000 was just the cost from Tonka, or Krita, the company to provide it. There was another 40-some thousand for installation costs on top of that. So price for the catwalk was 99,700 change. He had gotten some prices from 3 different lift vendors in the area. Those ranged from, and that was for a used lift per your request. Those range from 26,500 to 35,900. With ideal crane being the low price at 26,500. That lift had somewhere around 250, 265 hours, something like that on it. And Chris is bringing up a picture of that style lift now. We had talked about this during design about a catwalk there versus none. We had kind of looked at it and said it's going to be accessed once a year.
Once a year?
That was the original discussion, was once a year to get in there to clean the settling tank on that filter. John said, I think more recently that they clean it multiple times, maybe every quarter now on the other plant. So I'll take blame that I should have pushed the issue more as to what we want to do as far as catwalk versus ladder access or portable lift. At that time, kind of loosely talked about, but then we moved on to other things. Here we are now looking at it. What a cost difference, I would say, as to the two options. And if the village does not have a lift already, looking at it, you're gonna have lights that are at 20-some feet as well in that building. This would allow us, or actually, I think the lights are hung down lower in all of them except for the garage. It would allow you to get in there to access lights and other amenities within that building or elsewhere.
Well, Max has said that he was gonna approach you guys about some cost sharing on this because this sucks.
He talked to me about it, and I guess let's talk about the cost, whether you have a price there from Karita of $60,000 for the catwalk that you would have paid for.
Oh, I get it, we would have paid for it, but this is this 11th hour stuff, it's sort of pay you guys, and not have this,
Well, so,
don't brush it off, this is not a good thing.
well, I am not excited about paying for it as much as you guys.
I'm saying you gotta pay
honest.
for the whole thing, but I'm saying there
Right.
should be some skin in the game from all parties.
Okay. I guess we can have that discussion, but which option are we talking about? Are we talking about a catwalk? Are we talking about a?
I'm not talking about any of it. Because first of all, this is an outrageous price. For a 500-pound rating. You're gonna have one man up there. So you don't even need it, even if you went to 600, that's. The way the current lift, the way that current thing is built, is so frickin' over-engineered, it's ridiculous. I cannot, in my mind, it's silly. The other issue I have is this lift. It's gonna get used 4 times a year. The lights are LED, they're gonna last forever. My issue is, why don't we just wreck one when we need one? At 1,000, 2,000 a year, I can do it for 10 years, 20 years. That's my point. I don't want to spend the money on $100,000 catwalk. And I most certainly don't want another piece of equipment sitting there because that doesn't even include maintenance on this thing.
And you gotta maintain
Yeah, that piece of equipment won't get enough use, will never leave the building.
I think we're gonna.
Yeah,
try
I think
and
I'd have to disagree with that. Wastewater shop, this,
You guys looked
just
at
the
all
other
that.
day, they were working on the garage doors and stuff. I mean, I think they could use it at the shop, and I
I
think.
think we're
we
gonna
do that.
try it without buying it, you're gonna.
No, I'm just saying, if we had it, we would use
Our
it.
budget is, you know how freaking tight our budget is.
I understand, I'm just saying it would be used more than
It's
3 or 4
another
times.
piece of equipment sitting around.
This ain't the year to be doing this. I ain't happy that we're even talking about it, but I agree with you. When we need it, we rent one. If it comes to be a situation in the future where,
I think we
just
look
bought
at
a
it.
truck, right?
yeah, we did, we needed a truck.
We need it.
This isn't something you do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. We spent money on equipment.
I know, right. I know,
So if we didn't buy the truck, well, then maybe,
maybe not.
but even so.
Our budget ain't supporting this extra
How
equipment.
much of this would be covered, Chris, in the fund? You had talked to DNR and said they would cover some of this in the Clean Water Drinking Act, correct?
Yeah, I'll rely on.
Yeah, so the lift can be rolled up into the loan. You, remind you, I think it's 20 or 25% that you have as principal forgiveness of grant money as part of that as well. So if you're thinking of buying one in the next few years, now would be the time because you would be able to roll it up into the funding and you're gonna get grant or principal forgiveness on that as well. I understand the cost differential and I struggle to argue with you if we're gonna use this a couple of times a year and you can get a lift locally. So be it. I should have asked more questions during design. As to access, but we looked at it as a limited access. And some clients basically sub that out to a contractor coming in and doing such work. Because of the confined space entry that is required if someone were to go in there. But John kind of pointed out that they are generally able to hose that from above and rinse it down. So again, I've always worked, I grew up in the trades. I worked off a ladder. The trades have changed now. No one works off a ladder. And that's just fall protection is too costly in the trades, and that's kind of why they've gone this route.
From a safety point of view, we would never work off a ladder in a situation like that. We literally just had a conversation about our workers' comp, insurance going up because of the number of claims in the past few years.
How do we go down into the mountains? I mean, the deep climb down a ladder.
We do, and at that point, we have fall protection on. We have harnesses and lifelines, absolutely. In a situation like this, it's a little bit different. It's more like climbing up to the top of the sludge tank at the wastewater plant, where we literally said at the time we built that sludge tank, we don't want a ladder to try to get to the top of that sludge tank, so we had them install staircase. Because it's a little bit different going up than it is going down. When you're going down, you can set up the proper fall protection at grade, and then you go down. When you're going up, you have to rely on that fall protection already being up there, and you can't maintain it unless you go up there. So going up is always a little bit harder.
So what determines how often we have to clean these or rinse these, backwash these tanks? What is
It
it?
needs to be a minimum of once a year, and I currently do it every quarter. Their minimum is once or twice a year, but I do it quarterly.
Based on?
On how much buildup I see in there, you know,
Right, there's no indicator of the buildup or anything,
no.
and we don't know what water we're even getting out of this well.
We know it'll have at least as much iron as the current well does.
That's right. But I say we table it.
Table it to take it to committee or table it to just,
Table it, the whole thing. Can't walk and equipment, lift,
We don't need to vote on it, so.
look at rental. Stratford has a brand new rental place. They got all that equipment over there. I don't know what the cost is. I didn't call them. It's not a far cry to run over there or have them delivered here.
I agree, for the time being. You can say whatever you want and how much we can get, but we're too.
This is like, it's dropped in on us. Now we're supposed to
Yeah, we just,
pay it, yeah.
no, you're gonna, for now, rent what you need and you go from there.
All right, the last thing I want to point out is you are significantly under budget at this point.
Not for our village budget overall.
I understand. On the water budget or the project budget, we are looking at a change order somewhere $100,000 plus on that contract. We have supplemental items that were not used. Those we've held off with change ordering those out of the contract because there's been a handful of small additions to it. We have pretty good deduct coming. We've kind of been silent on that, knowing that this was lingering in the background and wanting to know kind of where you're at. Our intent is to bring a change order forward at next month's meeting that will kind of, say, zero out your contract. But at this point, you're $100,000 to $140,000 under that $5 million plus award amount. So I'm not trying to influence you. I can't argue with the rental versus purchasing. That is a policy decision from the village, and I'm gonna stay out of that. But I just want to make you aware that you are under budget on that. You're also pretty significantly under my contracts on a time and material basis as well, and we're pretty well under on our contract as well. So those are dollars that won't be spent as well. So you're probably looking at $150,000 to $200,000 under budget on the project. Not, again, I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to, not with all the facts.
Right.
That just means that we don't have to raise the water that much.
You table it permanently?
I make a motion to table this.
Second.
Any motion to make the table it? A second? We don't need,
Second.
a second, okay, all in favor, say aye. All right, opposed? Motion carried, this is table. Item J, discussion possible action on Ellis Stone pay request number 11 for the well number 7. I can see that. For the well number 7 water treatment plant number 2 project for $514,670.30.
Greg can have this one too.
Sure, so this is the monthly pay request from the contractor. Included in this request is kind of the paving of the site, the restoration of the site. An update on the electrical, et cetera. At this point, we are about, well, we're 90+% complete on the project. We have a big week ahead of us here where the manufacturer of the filter is coming in tomorrow. We're gonna do some startup testing of the filter itself. We have the integrator, the computer programmers basically on site doing their checkouts and startup of the pumps, booster pumps, control panels, chemical feed, et cetera. So if all goes well, this week and next will be kind of have the checklist done for the project. Except for once we have all the contractor checkoffs, we bring in the DNR, we let them do their walkthrough as well. Make sure that everything is to their satisfaction. And we're hopeful here that by the end of the month, we'll be able to put that water plant online.
So all the equipment's here then?
All the equipment's here, everything is being installed. Well, by the end of the week, I'm gonna say damn close with the contractor of having everything substantially complete, ready for testing or for we'll get the DNR in after the checkouts this week. Don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse at this point. We'll be seeing a fair amount of water that is run through that plant as part of that testing. We're going to be running the well, we're going to be running that water to waste because legally we can't put it to your distribution system until you have the DNR's final blessing on everything.
Curious to see what it's coming at, now that everything is live.
Yes, I think based on the testing of the well, I think we can expect 200 gallons a minute from that well at this point, which is kind of where we have said it would be 2 years ago. And that treatment plant is designed for 400 gallons. So we had designed that with provisions that you would be able to add additional wells to that plant in the future and have more redundancy in your community.
Make a motion to.
Motion by Tom, second by Al. Roll call on this.
Rolfe, Kavensky,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Paper,
Yes.
Kraus,
Yes.
White, so far.
Yes. Item K, discussion possible action on Fallon's excavating change order number 2, the shooting range project for an increase of $6,615 and an extension of 7 days to the project time.
Let's talk about sweet also, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we talked about this in the moment. The issue was that the shooting range was built on top of a landfill, which we knew, the DNR gave us permission to do it. But when they were excavating, or not even excavating, but basically grubbing the site, they started to pull up the cap. And so they needed to bring in some more fill material and then also some more topsoil. There wasn't enough topsoil out there for the engineer's original estimate to borrow from the site. So they had to bring in some more topsoil as well. So this change order covers, we previously addressed the base material. This change order covers the topsoil. It also covers a change made to the shelter out there. They used a pre-treated stained treated lumber out there for aesthetic reasons. They thought that would look nice. And then when it came time to put the OSB material on underneath the ceiling, they thought, well, that would look pretty cruddy next to that nicely stained lumber. So for aesthetic reasons, we agreed to forego the USB and just leave the stained lumber exposed. And it looks pretty sharp out there, actually. The guys also felt that the potential to get moisture and even rodents trapped underneath that USB because the flashing wouldn't have covered the ends of the rafters. We'll keep that shelter a lot nicer going in the future. And then the last change was the calendar days. They increased the time by a week, and that was primarily just due to wet weather. They got some rain. We were happy to give them that extension. They didn't have any other difficulties out there. I think for most people that have gone out to the site, I guess I don't know how many of you have gone out to the site, but it looks pretty sharp.
Yeah, look good.
The DNR has been out there. They were very happy with the site. Our grant writer or our grant specialist was out there along with their range specialist for the DNR ranges. He operates, I can't remember how many, five DNR ranges. And they were both very impressed by the shooting range out there.
So how are we on the budget?
Good. We're still just under budget as far as the grant is concerned and how much funds that we already raised. So not much. There's not a lot of extra over right now. So for the improvements that we do next year, we would be basically fundraising stage 2.
So when I make the statement that this costs the local taxpayers zero, is that true?
Except for the fact that the grant came from Fish and Wildlife Service originally, which is funded by tax money. You can say local taxes. You can say local taxes did not go to fund the shooting. That's correct.
There you go.
I can't control the
Yeah.
silly DNR.
But that's a great opportunity to get some of that money back into Spencer, certainly from the federal. So, and we will be applying for a second round of DNR grants and NRA grant for range maintenance. So that plus the donations that we hopefully receive will satisfy all the needs for the property for the foreseeable future. So this is a change request, additional 6615, new contract price 167, 497.40, and 7 days.
Yeah, we talked about this week, we're gonna let, so I make a motion to approve. Motion by Tom,
Second.
second by Pat. All in favor?
We'll do roll call.
Roll call now?
6. Yeah.
Okay.
Brophy, Jazinski.
Yes.
Always.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Strauss.
Yes.
White. Hofer.
Yes. On item L,
Oh,
discussion possible action on the fellows excavating pay request number 2 for the shooting range project for $45,700.62.
so they previously were paid 113 191. So this is the remainder of the contract minus the 5% retainage. So we will retain 8,000 and just under $8,400 until next spring when the grass grows in, and hopefully they won't have to come back and reseed, and then we'll be able to pay them that last bit.
Motion to approve pay request number 2. Fallon's excavating $45,700.62.
Second, motion by Pat, second by Tom. All,
Brophy, Jazinski,
Yes.
Bowles.
Yes.
Schaefer.
yes,
Yes.
Hofer.
yes,
On behalf of felons, they were very happy to come here and do that work. They really enjoyed the project. They were very busy, and this was a really nice job compared to the other work they had going on at the time. So they really enjoyed it.
okay, item number 13, discussion action on approval of current vouchers.
You guys have to do the loader.
There was parking brake that wasn't released out. They had to replace clutches and rebuild it. Had a problem with it.
The John Deere did.
Actually got the parts to replace the clutch. So he rebuilt the clutch. Solenoid. A little bit of troubleshooting. He did have to have a technician come in to help him just a little bit. Otherwise, he did most of the work himself.
Okay, so back to nature.
Back to nature. They did tree trimming around the village, all the boulevard trees and.
I thought we sent our guys to that school.
What school is
I
that?
thought we had two of our employees go to. That don't ring a bell with me, not tree trimming.
I don't think we've ever sent any of our current staff to tree trimming. We sent Scott and Joe to tree trimming in the past. But I don't,
Been a long time.
I think Will might have gone to like a pruning class, but not like, trimming.
Well, first of all, if you take that amount, 4,600 and divide it by 15 hours, that's $306 an hour. That just don't ring a bell with me.
Yeah, when, I guess two guys with the lift. Yeah, that's the rate.
I think we ought to at least look at other people, go out for bids.
Yeah, we can in the future.
Tree trimming's
Yeah.
pricey, I think. I mean,
Yeah,
I think,
well,
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think they're all pretty,
It's expensive.
yeah.
I understand that, but it just doesn't set well.
I had one taken down, farm, cost me 2,000.
Well, I understand when it's a 40-foot tree, that, I mean,
It was
60, 70-foot tree.
amazing.
Anyway, that didn't sit well with me. Midwest Concrete is hauling up granite. Hauling our granite now.
Yeah, occasionally we do have them come in.
Okay. That was a question.
Yeah,
And then, lawyer fees,
which one specifically?
yeah, which one? Weld Riley was one of them.
Yep, that one was a lot of discussion about the sex offender residency ordinance.
The such.
We really wanted to make sure we get that one right.
All right, and then in the water department, there was the state of Wisconsin, 22,000.
That's loan.
That's what?
The loan payment, insurance, not insurance, interest portion of the loans are due November 1st.
This is loan interest?
Right.
And so that would be the same for the sewer department?
Yep. Yeah, we have two clean water fund loans and two safe drinking water fund loans now. And they both have principal in the spring, principal and interest in the spring and interest in the fall.
So we could double this for interest then?
Yes, that's only half of the interest payment on that one. And because that loan hasn't actually closed yet, that's just the carrying cost of the existing.
And then under the water sewer department, you bought a stub shaft.
Yeah,
Must be pretty stubby, $11,000.
it was the shaft and it was also the bowl gear that shaft turns. So the fine screen, the drum screen up in the headworks of the wastewater plant failed.
You had it in the update, I think.
Yeah. I keep wanting to say pintle gear. That's not right. That's the pinion gear. The pinion gear, the teeth all wore away.
And
And
then
so,
direct the bowl gear to them.
yeah, I mean, not terribly. It's still working. Ethan actually, because he was gone on paternity leave, didn't feel we needed to replace that at the time. That's going to be a bit of a job to replace the bowl gear because you have to take the drum off of the unit. So it's
So that's that whole big job.
it's that big drum that sits in the channel. All the wastewater flows through the drum to screen
When
it.
was the last time that was replaced?
Sure.
How old is it?
Opinion and bowl gear.
It's 6 years
Some
old now.
goes you probably.
Well, actually, 18, so almost going on 7 years now. It might be a little premature, but the problem is that it's kind of a poor design, at least Ethan certainly thinks it is, where if that bull gear ever gets submerged in the wastewater, then there's potential for sand to get inside the gears. And you don't know that it's submerged because it's in the channel. So it could have submerged multiple times throughout its time in service, and we didn't know it. And then that sand just eats away at the gears. So Ethan is going to come up with a new maintenance schedule to make sure that that we try to keep track of it better when it gets submerged. And then when it does get submerged, the owner's manual will tell you got to take a pressure washer up there and clean off that whole gear and the pit.
Here's the like sand.
Yeah. So it'll be a new maintenance thing. The good thing is that that was the cost to get the parts. Our guys did the replacement. So actually, Mike and Pat did that part of the replacement.
But thanks. That is my questions.
Any other questions or comments on vouchers?
No, I'm making motion to approve the budget was since printed.
Motion by Tom, second by Pat, to approve the vouchers. Roll call on this.
Brophy, Pinsky,
Yeah.
Bowles,
Yeah.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
White. So far.
Yes. That brings us to Chris's court report.
I don't have a report.
Another report.
We had three building permits, but knowing that the discussion of the budget could potentially go a little bit longer here, I'll give the rest of my report next month.
Fair enough. That brings us to the presentation of the draft of the 2026 budget.
So I did print these out for you to look at the desk, so you don't have to try to do it on the computer. There are copies for the audience as well, if they want to go through it. If everybody has a copy, I'd rather not try to do it on the screen. That's my intention. So we usually go through the budget line item by line item. General fund takes a little bit of time. Water and wastewater are usually relatively quick. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
Thanks.
We'll start out with the general property taxes. The new levy will be $854,632. That includes a 4.5% increase of the base levy, and also includes the additional borrowing that we approved last meeting, actually. Mobile home fees are paid in lieu of taxes directly by the courts. Raise that up a little bit to $12,340.80. Special assessments, we do special assess for, we only have about 8 street projects that we special assessed for curb and gutter associated with those street projects. So those special assessments come to about $2,200 so far. State shared revenues goes up a little bit, 656, 725.05. Fire insurance, it's called fire insurance in our budget. It's actually the 2% fire dues that we get. It's income from the state. We're just a pass through. We pay that directly to the fire department. They use it for safety training and equipment. There's actually a short list of things that they're allowed to use that money for. Computer aid comes from the state as property tax relief, 1758.34. That is a fixed number. Personal property aid is another tax relief measure. 29,566.27 is also a relatively fixed number. The grant law enforcement, this is actually some of that money that comes back from League of Wisconsin Municipality Insurances. So $4,300 to offset Sean's costs for training, policy software, and the LexiPol service. Transportation aids go up a little bit this year, $211,845.08. That's just because the state has a little bit more money in that pool, and our mileage went up a little bit too. Local road improvement program, I don't have any information in there yet. I don't think we're gonna get anything that's gonna count for next year anyway. If we get LRIP funds, we'll be budgeting that for 2027. Our engineers at Town and Country did help me submit an LRIP application for Wendell Street and for Louisa Street. So if we get LRIP funds, that will probably be built out in 2027. This is the recycling grants that we mentioned before, 6750 comes from the DNR for participation in the recycling program. The ARC tree grant or ATC tree grant is a grant that we got a couple of years ago. The DNR has encouraged us to apply again, and they typically say you get about two out of two grants in the 10-year period. If the second grant is for an inventory project. So that is probably what we'll shoot for next year is a new GIS inventory of our trees. The previous one that we did, obviously, if you remember, we lost that one. The college lost it. So we'll probably be doing that next year.
Ridiculous.
It was definitely unfortunate, but didn't pay for that.
I know we did,
Yeah,
but
so it was a
it
student
was such a
project,
nice report.
and it was awesome, and then they lost it. So yeah. Library income from Marathon County for the operation of the library here in this complex, $4,500. Joint court fees come from Marshfield. Those are citation collections. Those are up and down. Last year we budgeted a little bit more, but I dropped that down to 6,000 to get maybe a little bit closer to what the 3-year average is here. Yeah, citations are tough because we have to rely on Marshfield Court to collect them for us. And so they have a process, and you don't just get the money because you win the court case. They have to collect that money.
I just want Sean to have a reputation as a badass.
We'll work on it.
Yeah. Doesn't he not now? I know I get nervous whenever he comes in.
I don't think he's got that reputation.
SRO revenues is gonna come from Spencer School, 90,000, 180, 91. That's basically for 3/4 of the SRO officer. Plus, this year, we're gonna budget as if next year we hire an SRO officer full-time instead of part-time. So Jason at the school has agreed that the school would continue to pay, like they are paying right now, all of the officers' health insurance costs. And then for the other 3 months of the year that the officer's working for the village, we'll pick up his hourly wage and other benefits besides.
Sean, at the end, your end of the year report, why don't you actually, you always include stuff that happens in the month, but why don't you do some type of analysis of that?
Okay.
Only because it tells you what really happened as far as what
I got new phone now.
the RSO.
I'm gonna give a more detailed report on the SRO program.
Yeah, and just, that's, it just tells you
Yes,
where his time is spent and what's happening.
I will.
And it might help you in your recruitment when you want to replace them.
Sounds good.
Cable franchise free, 12/5/18/24/25 is a combination of, again, another form of property tax relief from the state in the form of video aid. And then also the charter cable franchise fee that the village still gets for having legacy video service in the ground. Liquor operator and cigarette licenses, those are village fees, budget $2,400 for. Marathon County is the entity that's in charge of our dog license. Those fees are likely to go up, but we are basically a pass-through for that. So their fees are going to go up. In fact, next month we'll have a resolution that will pass to acknowledge that fee increase to what? It doubles basically from $12 for a neutered dog or an unneutered dog to $25, and then from $5 for a neutered dog to $10. So they are trying to play catch up on their rates, which they have not increased for almost 19 years. And they've been basically covering the gap with tax revenue for a long time. Finally decided that it's time to raise the rates, so. But we just are a pass through. We keep 50 cents for each license that we issue. And we also keep any late fees. So if somebody pays after March 31st, then we collect a late fee and we keep that too. So this is basically just a pass through account, budget $500. Permits for village related permits, building permits and right of way permits. They did budget $3,000 for them. I imagine that we're still gonna get a decent amount of right of way permits from the fiber people that are installing tons of fiber in the village still. PD court penalties and costs for Marathon County, those are citation collections. We don't get many citation collections from Marathon County because not very many of our cases actually go there anymore. PD miscellaneous revenues, this is their reports, primarily traffic accident reports. And then if they do have the sale of firearms, we put that in miscellaneous revenue as well. General government fees is just it's a miscellaneous expense that we don't really use. Here's the big one, refuse and garbage collection. We talked about it last time, setting the rates at $12 for garbage collection and $6 for recycling services. So we just approved the contract for the garbaging and recycling with Waste Management. They set their rate at $10. We're gonna set our rate at $12 with the intention of recovering a couple extra costs, including leaf collection and some bulk item collection. So that
I've been getting a lot of questions about leaf collection this year.
Yep.
And I can't.
Good or bad?
When are they gonna do it? When are they gonna do it?
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, they've been out a number of times. I mean, three cycles, I think, so far.
Yeah, I'm just telling you,
We have
man.
one to go.
Passing it along.
Doing the last one this week? or-
I haven't got confirmation from Whirlwind yet, but I imagine this week and this weekend. I would ask them to pick up through Monday if they can, because people are gonna put stuff
Well,
on.
that's just.
Yeah, I'm planning on Saturday because
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, South Maples are just really down.
my tree just started.
Just
Yeah,
finally done.
They take a while. The good news is we aren't expecting any more wet weather next week, I don't believe. And so, this little bit of snow that we got shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll ask them to at least continue through the weekend into next week. But that's where that $12 is coming from, is to recover those costs as part of the global garbage and recycling service that we provide, with the intention that that service is basically self-funded. So we're not using tax revenue to offset those costs. So $126,000 for refuse and garbage collection and $63,000 for recycling services. Interest income, we are getting a significant amount of interest on our checking accounts. So I just got that budgeted rather conservatively because you don't know what interest rates are going to do in the future. Interest on special assessments. This is interest that's earned literally on the $2,000 worth of special assessments that we will collect on a tax roll. There's a principal portion and an interest portion. 145.01 is the interest portion. We'll hope to collect $12,000 in rent next year. This includes shelter and meeting room rent, and also rent on of the US Cellular space in the art park, the physical
What about
land.
our water towers? Is that in here?
That-
All of the antennas on the water towers.
That actually comes into the water department. So Selk rents space up on our water tower. That comes as water department income. And then the other portion from Country Wireless comes as services rendered. So we get internet at no extra cost to all of the public buildings in Spencer. Sale of vehicles, we don't anticipate selling anything next year.
Oh, yeah, we do.
What do you want to sell?
The old truck,
Yeah, you tell me how much I should put in for that.
$25.
I'll be happy to do that.
That's all you're gonna get for
Yeah, and we can add that in there.
it. You don't know.
Get a night. And I think the guys might like to sell it as early as this year, so it wouldn't actually go into next year's budget. They were talking about reaching out to a couple contractors that would use it locally in their snow plowing businesses.
Right, look at Dorchester's truck. It worked worse than ours. They might be interested in a good deal.
I don't know.
Insurance recoveries, hopefully we don't have any of those, for damages done to village property. Law enforcement donations, don't know if we'd get any of those next year. Veterans Memorial Fund, I don't have any donations there. Jerry doesn't have any major projects planned for that part, and the amount of money that's in the reserve would cover the new bricks that we would get next year. The PD drone fund is something that we started and then stopped, so that's still kind of on hold. We budget $25,000 of income for Spencerama. That includes donations and the income earned by Spencer. Gun range, I'm not budgeting anything right now, although as Al indicated previously, it is the expectation that any new projects out there would be funded by donations and not tax money. Everyone can play has been zeroed out as well. We get $500 typically every year from a particular resident who likes to donate for the ice rink. Pickleball revenue, I've zeroed out again. I don't know what their next phase out there is going to be, but if they do something, they'll be the ones to tell me how much they're
How
gonna
much do you have left?
do out there.
But no, how much money does the pickleball fund have?
I don't know. I haven't actually run that report lately. They're still in the black. They still have several $1,000s there. The stage, the same way, we're gonna be collecting money next year for the stage. We will potentially have some costs in design, but certainly not that we're gonna build anything next year. So right now I've left that as a zero. The gun range grant will be done after this year. We won't be applying for a new grant next year, but we will be applying in 2027. The SLCGP cyber grant, we are hopeful that that will continue the next 2 years. The participation in that in years 2 and 3 is at a significantly reduced rate because most of this year was capital and next year will just be operating expenses. 234360 for it. Other miscellaneous revenue includes things like things that get charged to the office, copies, faxes, dividends that we might get from various insurance holdings. Kids group expenses over $4,000. We subsidize kids group to the tune of $4,000 on their utilities, and they pay us back anything over that. So that gets thrown in other miscellaneous revenue. Loans, we don't plan on taking out any loans next year. We did take out a loan this year. Excuse me. And so that money will be rolled over into next year in the form of transfers from other funds. That includes $340,000 for the street projects and the plow truck that we purchased. So for 2026, total income expected to be 2.504,702.46. On the expense side, we have legislative expense, that's board pay, board and committee pay at $19,000. Legislative FICA, the taxes that we have to pay on that, $12.24. Illegal, even though we did go over legal a little bit this year for some specific reasons, I'm still gonna budget just $2,000 and try real hard not to have to call the lawyers next year. Spencerama, we've got a $25,000 expense associated with that $25,000 income next year. This will go towards the bands, the events, supplies, things that the village pays for up. General admin office supplies includes the papers, the checks that we have to order, the tape, the pens, etc., $2,000. General admin postage is mainly for taxes and elections, $2,500. Postage for water bills comes out of the utilities. General admin car allowance, $200. I don't really collect mileage too much. A lot of times I'll just take a public works truck, or now I might take the extra police squad if I have to go to Wausau. I'd rather take a village vehicle if I could. And general admin telephone, for the 3 VoIP phone lines on this side of the office, and then 1 cell phone, $1,500. Admin pro development, that's for classes and training dues for various organizations. I got it $2,500. General admin computer and technology, this is a bigger one. It includes all of those software costs, the workhorse software costs that the general fund pays for. The IT support through computer TR, and then all of the cyber stuff that we purchased through that grant. General admin service fees, that's just the updates to the general code. We are going to try to do updates. $695 is the annual service fee for general code, and then $1,000 should cover the changes that we make to the ordinances on an annual basis now, instead of waiting 5 or 6 years and doing them all. Bad debt collected is something that the auditors usually throw in there for us. We don't budget for bad debt. Court costs, this is $1,000 for the Marshfield Tips program. And then admin wages, 845.17. That's 60% of my wage. And then 1/3 of the wage of Deb and Sandra here in the office. Admin benefits, same thing, 60 and 1/3 and 1/3, 29,575.05. Those numbers are pretty flat because, well, Deb, when she retires next year, we probably won't be hiring someone and paying her quite as much money as she's earning right now. Elections, that's to pay the election workers, supplies, postage, $4,000. Next year is we have 4 elections next year, so we'll be busy here in the office. Accounting, that's just for our audit, our share of the audit, $22,000. Assessment of property, $2,000 for Greg Schmidt, and a smaller portion that goes to DOR for the assessment of manufacturing property, which the state does themselves. Yeah, he has a contracted amount, and then, like I said, DOR just sends us a bill for however much they feel we have to pay. Complex, I've got budget $11,000. That covers utilities, cleaning, and mats for our share of the complex fees. Library and this part pay their own share.
We don't have any maintenance issues here.
We don't have any right now that I really foreseen. We talked about bathrooms in the past, but I don't think we need to do anything different with the bathrooms. The only thing that I might like to do is make the back handicap accessible. Put in some concrete there to get that mat in the back. I would like to do that in spring. We won't be able to do it before the first elections, probably, depending on the weather. And then next year, I'd like to look at handicap accessible doors for the back, just because of the way we do elections now. We used to send people in the front and then out the front. And since COVID, we had people coming in the back door and then out the side door. And that does seem to work rather well. So getting handicap.
We got more parking.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, anybody that needs to enter the building with handicap accessibility to voting can still do that in the front. But if we could get that in the back, that'd be great. So, like I said, our own crew can probably do the concrete work for pretty cheap next year. But we'll budget in the following year for changes made to the doors. Sales tax, we do pay sales tax on the income that we earn from renting the shelter in the meeting room. It's up to about $4. Other general government miscellaneous expenses, I just got 1,000. Insurance and bonds, liability, property, and workers' comp. comes out of this first line item, $12,000. Highway insurance, that's for the street department, includes liability, auto, and then property and workers' comp for the street employees. Law enforcement wages, 355, 043, 54. That is a little bit of an increase over last year. That covers the annual increase that was awarded, plus then the idea that the SRO officer would be working for the village in the summer months.
So we're considered what, for full-time? Five.
That would bring it up to five.
Five. Five full, and how many part?
One.
Same thing with benefits, up a bit, 170, 137, 81. Law enforcement health insurance is still on here because there was a cost that rolled over from 24 that kept it on my chart, but otherwise we just lump all of the benefits now into law enforcement. It's instead of line item now, like health insurance. Law enforcement uniforms, $5,600 covers the normal $2,800 allowance that's in the contract for the officers, plus another $2,800 to outfit a new officer next year. Law enforcement mileage, again, not used very often, $200. PD utilities, including gas and electric, AT&T covers the cell phones, $8,000. Law enforcement legal, that's Wolfgram, Gamoki, and Hutchinson. That's the law firm out of Marshfield that covers our municipal court. So I've got $5,000 budgeted for that. Law enforcement general operations, 51,904. This is a little bit higher than last year because it includes a number of extra expenses in 2026 that are required. Sean has to do some updating to some software he's talked about before, and updates to the camera system. Law enforcement car expenses, fuel and maintenance for the vehicles, 13,500. Law enforcement insurance, their share of liability, auto, property, and workers' comp is $13,000. Law enforcement SRO expense, equipment and supplies for the SRO officer specifically, because these are reimbursable from the school, $6,200. SRO payroll, and so I guess I was mistaken when I said that the PD wages up above were increased by the SRO officer being full-time. I forgot that we do actually line item that separately. So that wage increase is just due to the annual increase. The SRO increase payroll is the significant one, up to 76,970, 960. The difference between 1520 hours and 2080 hours. And then law enforcement SRO benefits, again, an increase due to that full time. And then just so that the numbers were obvious for you, I did put them in the memo. Total SRO expenses, 124, 555, 559.19. The amount that we get refunded back from the school will be just over $90,000, which means that the new full-time SRO officer will cost us an additional $34,000. So the hope is that Sean will be able to utilize that officer to cover vacation times in the summer and save quite a bit on overtime. He also plans on changing the shift rotations to eliminate more overtime during regular shift coverage. Fire and also I guess the realization that we probably won't be able to find a part-time SRO officer. And the chances that we would find somebody that would want to work part-time just for the school, we got pretty lucky when we found the last one. We're not expecting to find another one in the future. Fire protection, the levy that's paid to the Joint Fire and Ambulance Service, $76,078.68. That cannot be right.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah, that's not the right number. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I do know that it was almost exactly $2,000 more than last year's levy because the fire department did keep their levy relatively flat. The only thing they increased was some extra fire hose that they were gonna get, and then the insurance for the new fire truck. Our portion of the increased levy was almost exactly $2,000. So that's got to be something close to $78,000. I will adjust that. Number. Fire department, that 2% fire dues, again, that comes in from the state. And then just goes back out to the fire department to cover their, to cover some of their training and equipment. Fire department wages, public works, that's the amount of time that our public works people spend at the fire department. We do keep track of that separately. On average, it's about 0.5% of their wages. So $900 to $300 about for wages and benefits for the fire department. Fire department hydrant rental, that is a charge that we pay to the water department in exchange for the water department having probably 4 times as many hydrants as they really need for water operations in order to supply water during fires. So we actually subsidize the cost of fire hydrant installation in the village with tax money. And now, after the last PSC rate case, we actually split the difference between tax base and user fees. So our levy pays for $130,000 and our user fees will cover another $130,000 to cover the full $260,000 that the PSC says it costs to provide that fire protection for the village.
Also remember that the hydrants are one of the reasons your homeowner insurance
Just lower.
is lower because of our roof.
Yeah.
Because the hydrants is one of the factors determining our rating. So it's kind of hard to explain to people.
Yeah.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you don't understand the budget and they think hydrants are free.
Right or not. Public works wages, 79, 326, 29, about 50% of the public works wages are spent in the category that we call public works. So public works is not streets, parks, or working at the fire department. It's things like working in the shop, doing equipment maintenance. About half of their time is spent doing public works stuff.
Does that include your break time?
That includes 50% of the break time. Sure. And then 29, 9, 21, 20 for public works benefits. Just the way the math comes out, the percentage of benefits is a little bit smaller. I will note that this is relatively flat this year because we are going to be attributing, we have 6 people in the public works staff, 6 full-time people. Historically, we've assigned 1.5 FTEs in the water department of that 6. Next year with the new plant coming online, new well, and all the stuff that's going to be associated with it, and talking with Greg at our engineer, recommended that this will tip us over to the point where we basically have 2 full-time people in the water department. So that one of the reasons why this is staying relatively flat is because we're basically pulling out half of an employee from the public works department and assigning them full-time to the water department. Now, that will be a transition. We may find out that, you know what, it really only takes 1.75 FTE to do the water department. That could happen. And we'll find that out over the next year, how much time is actually spent in. But that's the assumption, and it does help the levy a little bit by transferring those costs to the water department. Shop utilities, Excel, water, sewer, and then Frontier phone service, $12,000. Shop uniform allowance is $3,500. That includes their uniform rental and boot allowance. Shop safety and training, $2,000, covers their classes that they would go to. We can try to find them a tree trimming class next year.
You should all be trained by it.
You're never all the way
We
trained.
could get that lift, then you could do it trees.
That's been.
You just had to bring it up.
Shop building and maintenance, left the same at $5,000. In a good year, we don't need that much. In a bad year, if a door opener fails or if one of the doors fails, then that'll keep that money up pretty quick. We got pretty lucky this year. Shop supplies and equipment, same thing, $5,000 for tools, parts, stuff that's just related to the shop ideally and not to the streets or parks or things like that. Fuel for the entire public works fleet, $15,000. Machinery maintenance, so that's all of the equipment, basically the rolling stock, oil, filters, parts, another $15,000. Highway and street maintenance wages, again, this is about 39% of public works wages goes to highway and street maintenance. 42% of the benefits for 62,382.76 and 26,331.22. Again, relatively flat. Although we did budget this last year and did not hire a part-timer for the public works department. It would be our intention next year, especially going down to 2 FTE in the public works department to make sure we hire the part-time mower back again and we get a student worker to help us out next summer. Or anyone to help us out next summer. It doesn't necessarily have to be a student, I guess. Street maintenance and repair, did bring that up significantly, partly because crack filling, which we did this year, I would like to get back on a regular schedule of crack filling. And that's not really, that really could be a capital item, I guess, but I know our auditors probably aren't going to suggest that it should be a capital item. So I'm going to put that in street maintenance and repair, just as a regular general maintenance item. Highway and street training, we've got at 0 because we pretty much do all of that training at shop safety and training. Highway and street maintenance supplies, $3,000 for things like sign posts, street paint. Snow removal, salt actually includes road salt and sand salt that we that comes pre-mixed. That's $15,000. Snow removal, snow hauling, because we do hire contractors occasionally during big snow fall events to haul snow away from the streets where we windrow it, $2,500. Snow removal plow blades, about $3,500 for plow blades. We were riding easy this year on stock that we had from the previous year, but next year we'll anticipate having to replace a few more plow blades. Street lighting left at $30,000. That's a combination of the Clark electric and Excel street lights. Some are metered, most are metered now, but some are still unmetered. Refuse and garbage collection. This is the cost side of the garbage and recycling program. Refuse collection would be $112,920. That's the waste management charge. The recycling charge from waste management would be $64,050. And then we do have wages and benefits associated with the recycling program. They're close to 3% of public works wages and benefits and are primarily due for leaf or lawn clipping and leaf collection if we need to, branches, curbside brush pickup, that sort of thing. Recycling program would chip the wood pile is something that I'm going to add back into the budget. We have not chipped our wood pile in a long time. But with the proximity of Alpha and now even more importantly, the proximity of S.V. Swiderski's apartment complex to the brush site, we really probably should consider an alternative to burning it.
I have ideas for that.
That'd be great. All of
Go on
it.
now?
Yeah.
No.
Is it going to cost us anything?
Well, I don't know. That's why it's just an idea.
Okay.
I mean, there's mulch companies that.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, absolutely.
or boiler fuel.
Yep.
But
I believe.
they might bring in their own grinder.
Did Kafka come and get it for boiler fuel one time?
A couple years ago, they ground.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's.
They take it to Rothschild or whatever.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we check into it.
yeah, I looked at the past few times that we actually hired somebody within recent year, and Cal Coffer was one of them. I can't remember the other one, but I think both of them did something similar. where-
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they might make it trade, but they get the material,
Yeah.
they do the work.
Yep, absolutely. Leaf pickup for Moreland, we budget $8,500 for that. Recycling program, postage, budget $750. And recycling program supplies, including the paper to do the mailings and any tools that we might have to buy. Because all of those items are, included on the grant that we get from the state, they like it if we line item these things in our budget. Animal pound fees, even though we do participate in Marathon County's dog licensing program, we don't really get a huge benefit from Marathon County because we're too far away from Marathon County Humane Society, which would take our dogs for free if we could get them there. But the cost of taking them there really doesn't make any sense when we can take them to Marshfield instead. And we do try to recover those costs from the pet owners when they're recovered. So most of those charges do end up getting paid back. But we'll budget $750 for that. Culture and rec wages, this used to be called Parks and Rec, and it's changed to Culture and Rec a while ago. About 8 or 7% of wages and benefits. This is down again because of the manpower change. Civic promotion, decoration, flowers. I did bump that up a little bit. This includes both the street and hanging baskets. So the street planters that are planted, and then any hanging baskets that we put out like in front of the building or around the gazebo. And then also I did increase it to help cover some Christmas decorations next year. We were lucky to get a donation from the Chamber of Commerce to help us with some Christmas decorations this year. But as expensive as they are, we're probably not going to be able to rely on them every year to replace what we need to replace. So if we could keep that going by increasing that amount, that should help a lot. Civic promotion summer rec, we pay SKG $3,000 to help them operate their summer rec program. Civic promotion siren includes the phone lines and any maintenance that we need to do to the siren system. So again, this is one of those line items where in a good year, you don't touch most of that money, and in a bad year, it's not even close to what you need. Civic promotion electricity is also for the sirens, or I'm sorry, is for the Ponderosa aerator. I put that as 0 because it seemed a little silly to me to line item $500 charge for the aerator at Ponderosa Pond. We're just going to put that into the parks, the regular parks. The library pays us or we have to pay to clean the library, I guess the utilities, the cleaning, the mats, $4,500, and then we charge that back to the library at the end of the year and they reimburse us for those costs. So that's pretty much a wash. The reverse 911, we don't use anymore. That service was replaced by the website messaging system that we have now. So that's zeroed out this year. Kids group, there are charges associated with kids group, including utilities that we pay all of those utilities at the time of use. And then at the end of the year, they reimburse us for everything over $4,000. So I was at kids group meeting, Bill was too, and you can.
It's gonna say that it asks for an additional amount.
They did ask, well, it was funny because Brenda had asked for, she had indicated that perhaps it was the village's original intention to pay for half of the cost of the utilities on an annual basis, and that kids group would pay the other half. But when I looked up the last few years worth of bills, they're somewhere around the $3,250 to $3,500 range that they pay. So they are still a little bit less than 50%. But it is totally at your discretion if you think it's appropriate to pay for a larger share of kids groups utility expenses. That's up to you.
They had asked, the committee or board had asked for an additional $500 towards the two.
Yeah, I did not hear that number specifically, but yeah, so I mean, that's, if you want me to change that to 4,500.
It's not even, it's
Well,
not 50-50 now.
no. According to that, according to her figures. She thought that.
Yeah, they usually pay us, like last year they paid us $3,500, I think. So yeah, it wasn't quite half. They do run a pretty tight ship over there. They have an annual budget of about $160,000. They have to cover, full-time director now, with wages and benefits. What I would be happy to do would be to pencil in $4,500. I did ask Brennan to consider coming to the board and talking about what it is that SKG does and, what benefit they bring to the community. And that would certainly go a long way to, helping you make that decision. But we can definitely put $4,500 in and run with that and have them come to a meeting and talk about what we do. We're definitely gonna have long-term needs associated with that building. And that's something that they're not gonna be able to fund themselves. They will go out for grants, just like they did for the roof. They got a $30,000 grant to replace the roof. And they got that on their own.
I have to show them how bad the floor is because I think that's serious.
Well, they're saying that they're flooring expert, that they have come in to surface the floor every 2 years.
Yeah,
I said, I will not come back and resurface this floor because it won't last. Whatever warranty he is willing to give for the work that he does, he's saying he can't stand behind the work based on the conditions. That's why he's told them he won't be back to resurface.
did he say, do you know who it is?
I don't remember.
No.
Not basement.
Hmm?
It's not basement.
I was gonna say lacrosse.
One or yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah. We will be addressing that, certainly not in this year's budget. They got the floor resurfaced last year, said it would last a couple of years.
I mean,
They're looking long-term, but they would want to see, we're gonna have potentially our engineers look at the building, see if it even makes sense to put money into building that old. But of course, they don't have a whole lot of alternatives either. There aren't a lot of facilities that size existing in Spencer already. And to build something like that from scratch would be pretty expensive.
up to 4,500.
We'll do that. Well, and that actually would be maybe 3,500. Payable over 3,500 then.
Yeah, that's how you get it.
That's how we would, that's.
Yeah,
Right
I think
there. Yep. Parks and cleaning, parks clean and maintenance, that basically goes to Mary for the work that she does cleaning the lion shelter. That gets divided. And some small maintenance items that pop up. Parks utilities covers park and lines, park mainly, and now Ponderosa Pond. I got that at $6,000. Weed and mosquito spray, I did bump that up just a little bit. It seemed to me that the mosquito treatment that we did this year was pretty successful. We did a aerial application, the biomist that we usually do. And then we also put some of the neutral R in the storm sewer system to try to keep the mosquitoes down there. I thought this was a pretty good year for mosquitoes. We did pretty good. I can't say that I was out the country a lot. We didn't go to the campground a lot this year, so I don't know what the mosquitoes were like outside of Spencer. But there's no doubt that those products are expensive. Park sand, couple loads of that for $600 has been pretty common, either 1 or 2 loads a year. Park trees, we budget $7,500 for. This includes plantings, removals, and tree trimming. parks upgrades. I did put a little bit more money into this account. With the potential of doing something up at Gruppner's maybe. Or just doing more trails. The ice rink, the main expense there is that liner. But we do get a donation to cover that expense on the income side. Next is just a bunch of the capital items, so we don't have any more.
No, for trails, you got that under
I did,
park upgrade.
yeah, I did put a separate $10,000 in trails as a capital item. To cover like the stuff that we want to go do through the woods. So like the business park, like going west of Swamp Stompers through the woods there, and then up the fence line to get past the compost site, up into Gruppner's, and then eventually over to Robert Street. I don't know how much it's gonna cost to cover that entire area. You know, we would likely send a machine up there. Maybe the guys have fun renting a machine, or we'd hire someone to do it, where we would basically you know, put something on the front of a skid loader that would cut the tree down and ship it right, you know, on site. We're not gonna be hauling stuff out of the woods, but rather fell it and then maybe grind it up and throw the chips into the woods, or maybe use the chips as part of the base for the trail itself. Depending on how wet the areas are, maybe we're putting gravel down instead of wood chips. It's not, I don't anticipate that we're gonna be paving these trails through the woods. But, you know, we'll do something. And I thought it was important to get some money into the budget so that we could really make an effort to start that project. That took us down to the bottom of the list. To go back up to the top of the list. The only other capital projects items I've got are $5,000 for the culvert installation for the second driveway to the pickleball court at Arch Park. They still would like to see that done. I admit to dragging my feet a little bit to see if they really needed it, but they are insistent that they really want it. So that's something I budgeted for next year. $190,000 is our share of the East Willow Drive project, the Wistop project, that I have not heard yet, but hopefully by the end of this week, I might hear whether the bids came in favorably for that project or not. $5,000 to add camera system to the compost site. That includes the camera itself and getting electricity stubbed over to that site. $100,000 to reimburse the cost of the Robert Street construction in Eagles Landing. $10,000 for the trails that we talked about. And then to zero out the budget, I've got $73,000 of additional capital projects that we can put towards streets. I don't have those picked out yet, but that is a decent amount of money to do some mill and overlays on a few dead end streets, or some smaller street segments that don't need water and sewer, or curb and gutter even, to maybe clean up some of those. That is the place where I'm balancing the budget, however, so the additional kids group money, the additional fire protection levy will be taken out of there to balance the budget. And then, quite frankly, the insurance costs across the board, general, water, and sewer, I was still $10,000 short of the $85,000 that the League of Wisconsin municipalities have quoted us. So if we don't get any cheaper alternatives that we want to go with, besides the league's insurance, we'll have to do a little bit more adjustment to find that extra $10,000 across all three departments. But right now, that will balance the budget at just over $2.5 million.
Good job, Chris.
Budgets are easy.
Well, years past, I was like, okay, here's the number. Now I gotta whittle away.
Well, yeah,
before you.
Sure. And we can certainly have as many budget meetings as you guys want. I don't mean to take any power away from you guys. We can even have a meeting after this if you guys want to dial into anything deeper. Certainly open to that, so. We will move on to the water budget, which doesn't take quite as long. The biggest thing we got going with the water department is the increase in rates next year. So it's about a 30% increase over the previous rates. So that is reflected in the budget. We've got a bit more income, but then of course, a bit more expensive too. We will finish out the safe drinking water fund loan. I've got right now penciled in 468, 787, 69. But that number is probably going to get smaller because we will be making a payment in December yet. That's likely to be bigger than I had initially thought. We've got about, I think Greg just mentioned, we got about $750,000 that we got left to go. And they'll get all of that minus the retainage for next year. So if that's 5%, that should be somewhere close to $500,000. Residential sales will go up pretty significantly, 380,000, 345.64. That includes single and two family residences. Private fire protection. Private fire protection is metered and unmetered in some situations. It's not a significant line item. We don't have that many big companies in town that take advantage of that. 12,352.23. Public fire protection is the other big one, though. That is, it's the customer charge plus the levy. So half of that is coming from charges, on people's water bills, $130,000. The other half is coming from the general fund as an expense, but it's coming into the income side of the water fund to help pay for those fire hydrants that we were talking about. So the total public fire protection charge is $260,000, half of which comes from the levy, half of it comes from the customers. Sales to public authority includes schools, churches, and government, $21,000. Commercial sales is all of our businesses in town, 56,140.37. Industrial sales includes all of our bigger manufacturing entities. It's just the way the PSC classifies it, 54,463.72. Multifamily revenues are then 3 units and up as defined by the PSC. They follow the building code there. 3 units and up, 55,271.01. Forfeited discount includes late fees that people get charged when they don't pay their bills on time. Other water revenue, bulk water sales is going away. We don't have a bulk water facility anymore, so we're not going to be charging for bulk water sales, which was the majority of other water revenue. We continue to get PFAS settlement money. We will put that in other water revenue. Water tower rent, here's where that Selk bill for putting their communication equipment on the water tower comes from. And then Country Wireless also pays, in addition, I guess I did say previously that they just pay us in service in kind, but they actually do pay us an additional $1,800 to help us cover the cost of the electricity of operating. So that's $4,200. And then all the way down at the bottom, we get a transfer from savings of $38,757.07. That's savings from this year that we're transferring into this year to help us cover the new, well, it's not new, but help us cover the remainder of the Park Street loan that we took out in 2024. So we just paid off the street and sewer portion of the Park Street project by refinancing it. That will close, that'll close later this week. So we'll use the proceeds from that loan to pay off the street and sewer portion, the storm sewer portion of the Park Street project, converting that short-term loan into long-term debt. But we didn't refinance the water portion of that project. So sewer already got paid for through a clean water fund loan that we took out in 2024. But the water, the general fund, or not the general fund, but that note, that short-term note was covering the costs of the water portion. Now that we've refinanced it, this year, we're gonna have water start to cover those costs. So in order to help them cover that cost, they needed a little bit of help, so we're gonna transfer some of the savings they earned from this year by not spending as much money into next year to make that balance. And then sometime next year, probably in the late spring, early summer, we'll refinance the rest of that short-term note into a loan that the water department will be responsible for paying back then. So it's still part of that 3 to 5 year process to convert all of that short-term borrowing that we did in 2024 into long-term debt. So the income for the water department will be just over $1.3 million, 1,353, 14720. On the expense side, we have power purchase for pumping. For whatever reason, the PSC, which sets the categories very specifically on the income and expense side, wants us to separate the wells that are not attached to a treatment plant as a separate line item. So wells 1, 5, and 6 get charged separately, or line items separately, at $13,000 for electricity for those sites. Chemicals, I bumped up to $30,000. The idea there is that we probably won't use a lot more chemical, hopefully, over the course of a year, because basically the water plants are going to be splitting the work of providing roughly the same amount of water to the village. But there will be an initial cost to outfit them with that initial supply of chemicals. So I did bump that up. Supplies and expenses, again, bumped it up just a little bit to cover the operation of that second plant, $60,000. Repairs of plant, that is a big catch-all. Everything that isn't a different line item goes into repairs of plant. And the reason that line item is so big the last 2 years is because of the asphalt patches. So in the past, the village was a little bit more generous, and when there was a water main break, the street department covered the cost of the asphalt repairs, which is great if that's the way you guys want to do it. But last year, and my intention next year, is to have the water department, be a little bit more responsible for the patches that have to be made to repairs to water main breaks in the wintertime.
So what would be the advantage one way or the other?
The advantage is that users of the water system pay for that cost as part of their water fees, and it frees up some of the levy, some of the tax revenue that can be used for other things.
So why would it be done the other way out of the streets?
Well, it's really you really have to decide, do we want our water rates to be higher or do we want our taxes to be higher? And at this point in time, our levy is suffering a little bit more than our water. With the recent increase that was made to the water rates, it's my hope that the water department will be able to handle these costs a little bit easier than the levy will. So that was the intention behind it. Certainly, if you guys think it's more appropriate to have the levy pay for those street repairs, then that's totally up to you.
It's a matter of attitude.
It's the same thing with the public fire protection, where we decided, we were gonna have the water, well, PSC did give us the option. They're like, you can charge some of this to the ratepayers if you want to provide some of that tax relief. But the total cost has to be paid by someone. So the village in that case decided to split it 50-50. But for repairs of the streets, I thought it more appropriate to have the water department pay for it.
I didn't know we had a choice.
You get lots of choices. That's what I mean to say. I don't mean to take any of your choices away from you. It really is your decision.
I was never told I had a choice. Till now.
So no. Transportation expenses, truck fuel and maintenance, I've got at $3,000. Office supplies and expenses, this includes, all the IT stuff, the computer, TR bill, water, sewer, and gas bills, and postage goes into office supplies and expenses. The reason this is down a little bit is because of the, cost associated with the server that was replaced, in the office, and the cost of the cybersecurity that was done, that was covered by that grant. So next year, again, those are just operating costs, not capital costs. Outside services is basically, the audit is the biggest one. And then all other services provided by, AgSource, PSC, WRWA, a lot of different, outside services basically get thrown into this one category. $15,000. Insurance expenses includes property, auto, liability, and workers' comp of $13,000. Miscellaneous general expenses at $1,250. Water, public works wages. So this is where we're now seeing the other side of that transition, where we're going to 2 full-time employees in the water department and public works. So we see a significant increase, 131, 782, 63 in wages, 46, 122, 45 in, I'm sorry. Public works wages and admin wages, 46, 122, 45. Same breakout as before, but in reverse, 20% of my wages and 33% of Devin Samuel's wages on the admin side. Public works benefits, I have that, let's see, I must not have changed my comment from last year, but it is 2 full-time employees for an increase up to 59,868, 64 in wages, and then earned benefits, and then water admin benefits, 16,299, 41. That is a little bit of a decrease again, because it really just depends on what we're gonna be able to afford for the new deputy clerk treasurer next year. Principal, that's our loan payments that right now includes the 2 safe drinking water fund loans plus, well, it would include principal of the short-term borrowing, but that loan is interest only. So I guess the 234, 888, 48 only includes the principal associated with the 2 safe drinking water fund loans. The interest charges, though, apply to all 3, the 2 safe drinking water fund loans, and what I'm estimating at $34,000 will be the interest cost for the remainder of that, should be 2024 ANAN. I won't get that amortization schedule until the loan closes later this week. So that's just kind of a placeholder for now. But it should be close. $1,000 gets budgeted for large meter testing. Hydrants get, basically 1 hydrant replacement gets budgeted, basically for emergencies. These are considered capital items, and that's why the PSC wants them carved out like this. The remainder that we'll pay on the well number 7, water treatment plant number 2 project equals the amount on the income side from the safe drinking water fund loan. So whatever that amount ends up being on the expense side will be matched on the income side, and it will generally be a wash. Water meters, we usually buy 100 water meters a year. I think that $9,000 is a little high. I didn't go back and look at this number after I looked at the wastewater side, because these meters are actually split half and half with water and sewer. So $9,000 for the meters themselves, and $9,000 for a similar number of radio readers, the radios that get attached to the meters. $2,500 for a curb stop repair. Again, that's something that's got pulled out on an annual basis for a curb stop. You add it all up and you get the same thing as you got on the income side, 353, 147, 21 to balance the water department. On the wastewater side, domestic revenues, 329.70, a little bit of an increase, or decrease actually over what I might expect to get this year, but you never know with wastewater, because there's it's gonna be tough to see what happens with basically consumption. If people get hit with the water rates and they don't flush as much, or they don't take as many showers, or they don't water the plants, that'll hit the wastewater side too. Domestic revenues,
And the girls still.
329.70, that includes all of our residences, all of our businesses that are not industrial customers, and does also include FBC. They're our first biggest, second biggest wastewater customer, but they're basically domestic strength. So we include them at the domestic revenue side. The industrial revenues is saved just for Land O'Lakes. That'll be 187.2 next year. Surcharges and penalties is something that we don't budget for because we'd rather not have to rely on those types of charges to balance our budget. Multifamily revenue gets pulled out of domestic revenue, so multifamily revenue is just anything over 3. We don't have a lot, 3 or more rather. We don't have a lot of those customers, $45,000. Forfeited discounts, again, are late fees associated with not paying your bills on time. Hauled in waste, slight increase, $392,280. Should be holding tank fees. We no longer collect septic tank waste anymore. Land O'Lakes capital expenses includes a percentage of the previous year's capital expenses. Instead of paying the same OM&R rate plus capital that all of our other users pay, Land O'Lakes pays OM&R separate from capital. They've negotiated that through their contract that they have with the village. So every year they pay for a percentage of the previous year's overall capital expenses for the wastewater department. Assuming that number is under $250,000. If it's over $250,000, they have the option of financing that. But next year that cost will be $47,947.60. They are also, according to our agreement, responsible for paying back a specific portion of the 2018 wastewater treatment plant project loan, this clean water fund loan that we have for that project. And next year that amount is $70,000 for $71.56. Transfers from the ERF fund. So we do have a separate equipment replacement fund that is mandated by the DNR as a condition of the clean water fund loan. And if we need to dig into that money, I have budgeted $30,000 as a transfer into the income side from the equipment replacement fund. That brings our total income at $1,096,869.25. Also, to get money into the equipment replacement fund, we are required to put a specific percentage of our it's not a percentage of our income, it's a percentage of the cost of the replacement value of the equipment that's on that list. So annually, that's $62,438 for all the equipment that we have on that list that's included in the equipment replacement fund. That's the amount that we need to put into that fund. Operating supplies and expenses, grease, oils, filters, parts, $12,240. Transportation expenses, which is just fuel and maintenance for the pickup truck, $3,700. Maintenance of the collection system includes all the parts that we use or might need, manhole frames, castings. The alarm system that we have to pay for is the mission communication system. Any service that we have to have done to the collection system, if we have to hire someone to pump it out or clean it, if we're not able to clean it ourselves. And then the wastewater's portion of the meters and radios that we buy gets split with the water department. That comes out of collection system maintenance as well. The ERF that is next to the comments in these three categories, maintenance of collection system, maintenance of treatment equipment, and maintenance of building grounds, includes a total amount of $30,000 across those three categories that's equal to the $30,000 of transfer from the equipment placement fund. And that's on the assumption that we need it, just so that it's included in the budget. If we need to spend something in one of those three categories that's eligible for use by the equipment replacement fund, then we've got that money budgeted on both the income and the expense side. Maintenance of treatment plant equipment, then parts, service, and the ERF expenses, $26,600. Maintenance of building and grounds includes HVAC service, plumbing too would be included in there, and maybe any electrical work that was related to the buildings themselves and not to the treatment plant equipment. And then some masonry work. We try to budget for some brickwork to be done each year. And then any eligible ERF costs. Sewer office supplies and expenses includes all of our IT on the wastewater side. And then supplies, postage, and checks for their share of mailing out the bills. Outside services, $5,000 just for the audit. That's their share of the audit. Insurance expenses includes liability, auto, property, and workers' comp at $25,150, $154. Again, this number is probably a little bit low, and if we don't get favorable quotes back from other companies, I'll probably have to be adjusting this one. Laboratory expenses at $40,900. We tried to dial that in with Ethan as specific as we could, because that's one that ballooned pretty significantly this last year. And it was tied to new testing requirements that were in our WPDS permit, which included PFAS and chlorides. So PFAS is very expensive. Chlorides is not that expensive, but it's often tested. I think 3 days a week, twice a week.
Why would we continue testing for PFAS if we don't have any of them?
You know, this is one of those areas where you and the DNR are just right on the same page. That doesn't happen very often. The DNR has indicated next year that if we continue to get low results on our PFAS numbers, that they will waiver us out of additional testing. So there is good news on the horizon that we might not have to do as much or at all to PFAS testing.
I understand if you have manufacturing facilities using them.
Yep.
Or that type of thing, but
Yep, our numbers are very, very low. And on the effluent side specifically, the DNR has said that if we can, as low as we have, and I asked Ethan, is that something that we have to apply for? Or is that something DNR is just going to do on their own? And he's indicated that the DNR has been doing that because they understand how expensive this testing is. And so they've been waivering people out of process for PFAS if it's not really necessary.
so
On the sludge side, the biosolid side, we will still be testing for PFAS at least annually.
well, that's fine. I'm not just.
Yeah. And the chloride side, that will always stay. We got a new chloride limit in the last permit that we are, we're still exceeding right now because it's not in effect. This is kind of like the grace period before it goes into effect. It goes into effect next March. And that new testing will always. But there is hope that the PFAS testing will not be required. Utility expenses, that's gas, electric, and telephone, $82,060. Sludge hauling, $50,000. This is another area where it's increased pretty significantly because of the site evaluations that we'll be doing now. We did some site evaluations with Star Environmental, but late this fall. We haven't got all the results back yet, but they're hopeful that we will be able to get more sites registered for biosolids applications. We want to keep working on that until we have a bit more redundancy built into that program. Sewer chemicals includes ferric polymer, sodium bicarbonate. I looked at it $124,000 or just over $124,000. That's one of our bigger expenses. Wastewater fees includes all the organizations that we pay fees to.
I'm awake.
DNR, MAG, WWA, WRWA, and our safety costs go into wastewater fees as well. Sewer admin wages down just a little bit. Talked about 46, 122, 45. Sewer wages up just a little bit, 140, 605, 20. Sewer admin benefits roughly flat, 16, 299, 41. And sewer benefits, little down, 61, 168, 79. I'll have to check and see why that one went down. Principal, so this is the two loans that we have, the Clean Water Fund loans. We've got the total principal payments, 213, 154. And then the interest on those loans, 61, 085, 528. I only have two capital items included. The wastewater department will be buying a medium-sized zero-turn mower to replace the mower that pretty well worn out. And then the other amount that I put in the collection system, 47, 294, 58, is used to balance the budget at $1,096,869.25. Those are the draft budgets for the general fund, the water fund, and the wastewater fund. I would ask for a motion to approve these for publication, so we can get them out there for the public to take a look at. If they've got any public comments. We normally don't get very many public comments, but.
A motion?
Sure.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it. Roll call.
I don't think we really,
Roll call?
yeah,
Okay.
we're not spending money. We're
That's
just
right.
pretending we're spending.
All in favor, say aye.
Get around.
Oh, it's, yeah. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. On the committee report, finance personnel, no report. Utilities equipment,
No report.
parks and buildings, still fund. Health and emergency government,
No report.
economic development, Main Street, no report there, Trevor's on streets and sidewalks.
So Chris, you said you did that tree evaluation.
Yeah,
Are we gonna see that?
you will. I spent the last couple of weeks on the budget, so I didn't do much with that. But I did grade all the streets per the requirement by the DOT to upgrade our streets every 2 years into the PACER program. That information was what Town and Country relied on to apply for our LRIP grant. So Mark has indicated that he'll be happy to put that together. They did have to put in a 5-year plan for the streets in order to qualify for the grant application or for the cost sharing applications. So we didn't exactly make one up, but I indicated the 5 worst areas with the understanding that there's no way we could afford to do that in 5 years. I mean, those are $1 million projects. But it would be my intention to bring that information to maybe a committee meeting at some point, and then we can create a real 5, 10, and 15-year plan with the intention of addressing all 5 of those areas at the end of whatever we think.
We had made mention on South of South Street. Being an expensive one, but I mean, we were paying off a loan on South of South forever there. Big dollar. So we must have done sewer. and
We
water.
were paying a loan on North and South. From Main Street north to 13.
When did they do that?
That was done before I got here. I want to say it was like right in 2001 or 99, some, maybe it was 2000.
That was a big ass loan.
It was also unfortunate that we refinanced that loan like 5 times.
I mean,
It just
it was-
dragged on and on and on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with amortizing out over 20 years, but,
Cost us.
but there must have been really high interest rates initially with that loan. And then it's just like we refinanced it and refinanced it and refinanced it. But yeah, it was nice when it finally dropped off, but, South LaSalle will be a beast of a different
Okay.
nature, because it's wider, it's concrete, and it's got sidewalks on both sides.
Did you evaluate sidewalks when you're doing streets?
I did not, we had Mike do that, so I don't know if he's completed it yet, but our intention is to pull all that information together this fall/winter, and then send out letters. And again, we probably would like to have a street committee meeting to help us determine, where that cutoff is for the letters that we're gonna send, because the assumption is gonna be that we send out a letter and then we'll give the property owner X amount of time to make the repairs. So whether that's 1 year or 2 year, or, and then you can help define, what class we wanna require repairs at. And DOT's got some really strong recommendations as far as when deficiencies should be addressed. So it's not a hard decision. It's just might be hard to make people pay, but
Not normally. I mean, it's
it's been in our ordinance forever. The property owner is responsible for sidewalk maintenance, and
yeah,
we.
like all other
Right.
municipalities.
There's some places,
I mean, you could do away with sidewalks in some places.
well, and that's the other issue about some of it is the traffic patterns that we have. Now, some cities just have a ordinance. There will always be sidewalks on every piece of property. I see Medford had a big to-do about that this fall. Yeah, well, I
We don't
mean,
need our main.
the sidewalk went to no place. That was the argument, and I can't blame the homeowners. Yeah, no homeowners.
A lot of that has to do with ADA compliance, like Willow Drive project that we do, because it's using federal money and it has to comply with ADA standards. It requires basically on the northeast side of that intersection, Park Street and Willow Drive on the fire department side, you have to have a place for people to cross that road and land. Whether or not you have a sidewalk for them to go anywhere, because the other side is ADA compliant, you have to have an ADA compliant, basically landing to get to on the other side. So that's where some of those things come.
Right. But we don't have any of that ordinance. All right, move we adjourn. What do you mean we're not done?
Commission.
I left that on as a carryover from last time, but
Yeah,
they haven't met. since-
Everything on police commission.
And you weren't even there the last time.
Okay.
Were you even there the last?
It's gotta be our longest meeting this year.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Al, second by Pat, all in favor, say aye.
It's quarter midnight.